Welcome to the ongoing story of the Bible, Season 1, The Heart of the Story. In God's paradise garden, Eden, Adam and Eve choose to accept the words of deception from a snake, a creature which God has put them in charge of. They choose to ignore God's words and his instructions in search of knowledge and wisdom apart from him. The consequence of disobeying God is the removal of God's complete provision for their lives. In other words, death. With the beginning of death, life is now finite and subject to time. And outside of God's paradise garden, death is manifest. Episode 4, Endings and Beginnings. The time is somewhere between 4000 and 3000 BC. Mankind still has an ongoing relationship with God, but it's different to that in the paradise garden. Now their lives are separated from God's complete provision and protection. The first thing Adam and Eve do outside of God's garden is create life, someone like them. The new human life is not in adult form from earth as God had made his first man. Now Adam and Eve join their bodies, their flesh, in marriage. They reproduce life, which grows in and comes from Eve's body. Eve names their first baby a son, Cain, meaning to acquire or possess, and he becomes a farmer, managing the earth. They have a second son, Abel, meaning breath, son or breathing spirit, and he becomes a shepherd, managing livestock on the earth. The brothers are equal yet different. Their roles are complementary in managing the earth. After some time, Farmer Cain brings God some grain from his harvest as a gift. His brother Abel, though, kills the first lamb born from his sheep, a sacrifice, and gives the very best parts to God. God is pleased with Abel's gift. But Cain is angry because God rejects his gift. And when God asks him why he is angry, Cain doesn't answer. God warns Cain that sin, meaning an act of defiance against God, wants to rule him, and Cain must overcome it. So Cain talks with his brother Abel, but when they are alone in a field, Cain murders his brother. Now God asks Cain what has happened to his brother. God already knows what Cain has done. But Cain responds to God with a question, asking what responsibility he has for his brother. God tells Cain that his brother's blood is crying out to him from the earth. So now God speaks a new declaration over Cain's life, separating him from his original purpose on the earth. God says that the land will no longer produce crops for Cain, and he will have to live as a wanderer on the earth. God exiles Cain from the earth, from the ground, to a land called Nod, meaning wandering. But Cain now has knowledge, experience of evil. He has murdered, and he fears for his own life. So God provides a mark, a sign for Cain, something visible to others, so that they will not murder him. Now Adam and Eve have a third son, Seth, meaning appointed, and it is through their third son that the family dynasty in the Bible continues. Already there has been murder on the earth. What else could go wrong? You can read this story in the book of Genesis, meaning beginnings, chapter 4. The first Bible story sets the stage, characters, conflict, themes, and motives. If you miss the setups, then you'll miss the payoffs. Remember these elements and you'll be able to identify them in other Bible stories. You'll spot patterns when characters face similar conflicts or display the same motives. Once you start to recognise images and character types, then you can look for payoffs and the ultimate resolution. Listen in for the next instalment of the ongoing Bible story. These podcasts, called Full Circle, are based on the author's best knowledge at the time of production. They've been created from the Bible texts, commentaries, and historical studies. The Bible is God's living word, and its story and learning is unfolding and ongoing. Thanks to Bible translators, some of whom gave their lives to give us its words, you can delve into its pages and start your own journey of discovery today.